So let's talk about a girl named Jinny. For her, this summer was supposed to be the summer. You know that feeling, right? School's almost out, the days are getting longer, and she had a plan. A big one. Okay, so Jinny had this thing all planned out. She'd been watching those Olympic divers on TV, and she was dead set on making the 5th grade diving team. That was her mission. And her little brother, Ambrose? He was just as pumped. He was finally old enough to ride his bike down the street by himself, and he had these epic plans for playground takeovers and, of course, water balloon wars with his 2nd grade buddies.
They were literally counting down the days, just dreaming of all that freedom and fun. But you know how life is. Just when their perfect summer seemed right there, within reach, bam, everything just screeched to a halt.
So their parents sit them down for one of those serious family meetings. And the news? It was rough. Their dad, who drove a truck for a living, had been laid off. That meant their mom had to start working extra shifts, and, well, money was going to be tight. And all those big summer plans? Yeah, totally canceled. No diving for Jinny, no bike rides for Ambrose. Instead, they were being shipped off to spend the entire summer with their Aunt Maria in the Pocono Mountains. And just like that, Jinny's whole world just crumbled. Her dream, the one thing she'd been holding on to all year long, it just vanished into thin air. You can just feel that knot of heartbreak and pure frustration in her stomach, right? All that practice, all that excitement, felt like it was for absolutely nothing.
So after the talk, Jinny just stomps up to her room, slams the door, classic. Downstairs, Ambrose is just staring at his parents, probably hoping this is all some kind of terrible, unfunny joke. But it wasn't. And even though they were on different floors of the house, they were both thinking the exact same devastating thing. This was going to be the worst summer ever. So when the day finally came, they dragged their bags into the family minivan. Their parents, bless them, they tried everything to cheer them up. Silly road trip games, their favorite songs on the radio, even a bag of candy. But nope, nothing worked. The silence in that car was so thick you could cut it with a knife. It was like this heavy, gloomy protest against their totally ruined summer. After what felt like forever, they finally turned onto this long, winding dirt road. And at the end of it, there's Aunt Maria's house. It's old, maybe 100 years old, painted this cheerful but definitely chipped green and yellow. And it's just surrounded by woods and mountains everywhere you look. There's this little white dog, Skippy, running around the yard. And for just a split second, you can tell Jinny's thinking, okay, I guess it is kind of pretty. Well, it really didn't take long for them to settle into their roles. Ambrose, he discovers pretty quickly that Aunt Maria makes some seriously good tuna fish sandwiches. He starts having a blast, dancing to her old vinyl records, counting stars at night. But Jinny? Oh no. She was holding on to her anger for dear life. She just refused to join in, insisting the whole place was boring and there was absolutely nothing to do. Now, Aunt Maria could have just let Jinny stew in her grumpiness, right? But she was a determined woman. She had one last trick up her sleeve, something she really hoped would finally get a smile on Jinny's face. And the whole thing kicked off with a ridiculously early wake-up call. So, before the sun is even thinking about rising, Aunt Maria is nudging them awake. Her instructions? Get your bathing suits and sneakers on now. They head out to the edge of the woods, and she just pushes aside some bushes, revealing this hidden trail. With flashlights in hand, they follow her deep, deep into the forest. It feels like they walked for miles, until they run smack into a pretty clear sign. Yup, a big old no trespassing sign. And behind it, a tall, locked gate. Jinny's stomach does a little flip, you know? This feels wrong. So she asks, Aunt Maria, are you sure about this? But Aunt Maria just gives her this little smile, this confident twinkle in her eye, and says it's okay, I know a guy. And she wasn't kidding. A groundskeeper named Charlie actually lets them through the gates of this place called the Breezy Crest Lodge. And then Aunt Maria finally stops, and they see it. This giant, absolutely beautiful swimming pool, totally empty, just shimmering in the early morning light. And right in the middle, a whole set of diving boards, including a high dive. So Aunt Maria turns to Jinny and just casually asks if she'd be up for a diving lesson right then and there. Jinny's like, no way, that's too dangerous. But then comes the big reveal. Turns out Aunt Maria wasn't just some random aunt who liked to swim. Oh no, she was on the varsity diving team all through high school. I mean, can you believe it? Jinny actually has a chance to practice after all. But then, as she's standing there, looking way, way up at that high dive, a totally different feeling hits her. Now that it's real, right in front of her, she's terrified. She looks at her aunt and just says, I don't think I can do it.
Aunt Maria just looks at her super kindly and says something that is about to change everything for Jinny. She tells her, it's totally okay to be scared. That being brave doesn't mean you're not afraid. It just means you choose to do it anyway. And then she drops this piece of advice that just sticks. Sometimes when you really want something, you've just got to do it scared.
And with that, they started, on the lower boards first. And just like that, a new routine was born. Every single morning for the rest of that summer, they made that pre-dawn hike through the woods. While Ambrose and Skippy were splashing around in the pool, Aunt Maria was coaching Jinny, helping her work her way up, one board at a time. So yeah, Jinny's summer completely transformed. She wasn't that grumpy kid stuck inside anymore. Her days were now all about those early morning diving sessions. But in the afternoons, she finally started joining in on everything else, the dancing, the stargazing, and yup, she even finally admitted that she actually liked Aunt Maria's tuna fish sandwiches. So, when the summer finally started winding down, their parents came to pick them up. It was this really happy reunion, but it got even better. Their dad had some amazing news. He'd found a new job, a good, steady job, as the town's new mailman.
Okay, so fast forward a week after school starts. It's the moment of truth, the diving team tryouts. As Jinny climbs up that ladder, the board feels even higher than the one at the lodge. All those old fears just came rushing right back. What if I mess up? What if everyone laughs? She walks to the very edge of the board, pulls her goggles down over her eyes, and just pauses. She takes this one deep breath, and in that moment, with all that pressure, she remembers her aunt's words perfectly.
And then she goes. She gets into position, leaps off the board, and just nails a perfect dive. The coach doesn't even hesitate. You just hear him say, "Well done, Jinny, you made the team."
She did it. She actually did it. And you know who the first person she called was? Aunt Maria, of course. After she tells her the good news, she asks if she and Ambrose can come back again next summer, and from the other room she just hears Ambrose yell, "Yes!" And in that moment, Jinny just laughs. She realizes that the summer she was so sure was going to be the absolute worst, well, it turned out to be the best summer ever.